Hi, boys and girls. We're going to be reading our first story in our new Unit 3 Journeys Grade 1 student text. And the new theme is nature, near and far. And nature just means the outdoors, like the country, the wild. The opposite of nature is like your house. Inside your house, that's not nature. A gas station, that's not nature. A city, that's not nature. A store, that's not nature. But out in the wild, the deserts, the oceans, the forests, that's nature. And today, we're going to be talking about nature, or the plants and animals that live in the oceans. So here's a question. What kinds of plants and animals would you find in the ocean? And it really just depends on where you are in the ocean. Some oceans are cold, some are warm. But here's a picture of an ocean. I think this is a warm ocean. This is a coral reef right here. These are actually teeny weeny little animals that when they die, they leave their skeletons, and then the next little teeny weeny animal, the little coral, builds its little shell and lives there for a while. Then he dies, and then another little coral. Anyway, it's a coral reef. There's lots of little fish that like to live in coral reefs. So fish are a kind of animal that lives in the ocean. And what's this right here? That's a different kind of animal. That's a turtle. And it looks like it's swimming around using its flippers. These are flippers. And these are fins. On the fish, they have little fins. So the ocean's a very different place to live than where we live, right? Like, we live on land, mainly. I guess there's some people that maybe live in their sailboats in the ocean or on aircraft carriers. That's what our military uses. It's a huge boat that has lots of men and airplanes and weapons on it. So I guess some people do live on the ocean, but these are the animals that live in the ocean, and you have to have gills if you're going to live in the ocean. Gills change the oxygen in the water so that it's usable, and they can, to them, not breathing, but having the water go through their gills is as easy for them to get that oxygen than it is for us to breathe and get that oxygen. So anyways, the point is there's all kinds of different plants and animals that live in the ocean. And so our story today in our new book is called At Home in the Ocean. So let's have a look who wrote this story. This is Roseanne Lanzick Williams. And it says, when Roseanne Lanzick Williams first became a teacher, she lived far away from the ocean. And she and her students learned a lot about sea life from their research. And they made beautiful underwater murals. And I don't know what kind of murals they made, but we made a mural on the walls of our cafeteria and gym when I was growing up. And Mrs. Gillum got to draw a dog and his doghouse and his dog bowl full of food on the wall, the outside wall of our gymnasium and cafeteria. So this is the kind of murals that perhaps maybe her kids, if you can imagine a whole bunch of little kids, first and second graders out there painting on the wall and making beautiful sea murals or sea life murals. That's the kind of teacher she was. I wonder how she convinced her principal to do that. So anyway, she wrote this story so that you guys could learn more about animals and plants that are in the ocean. It's informational text. So she wants you to learn some stuff. Okay, so let's read. At home in the ocean. Oh man, that's a cool picture. What are these? These are dolphins. The ocean is big. It is big and blue as far as you can see. It is home to many plants and animals. So like maybe we don't live there, but a lot of plants and animals do. The biggest animals in the ocean are blue whales. They eat little animals called krill. What? What are krill? Oh, it's a good thing we have a label here. These are krill, and they're actually super tiny. They just made them look big in this picture. And that's what the blue whales eat. Just a whole bunch of these krill. What are we looking at here? I see some sea urchins and clams. I see a special kind of starfish. It says, many animals live in cold water. Penguins. Hey, they're on the land here, but they're diving into the water. Penguins swim fast. They flap their wings to zip, zip, zip in the water. What? What kind of animal is that? Oh, there's a label. Manatees. Manatees live where the water is warm. They do not swim fast. Manatees eat lots and lots of plants. Then they rest. Just like you eat your dinner and you eat lots and lots, and then sometimes you eat so much you feel like just taking a nap. Well, that's what they do. So these animals live in cold water, but this manatee lives in warm water. Or I should say these manatees. This turtle swims far. It digs in the sand and lays its eggs. Then it swims back to its ocean home. There's a turtle, and there are her eggs, and it looks like they're hatching. And there's some sand. She doesn't want them to drown, I guess, so she goes and digs a hole in the sand, and she buries them inside of this hole in the sand. She has to leave her home in the ocean to go onto a beach, dig a hole, and lay her eggs. What are we looking at here? Sea otter. Okay, there's like different kinds of otters. There's like river otters, but this is a sea otter. And this kind of plant that grows in the ocean is called kelp. I like this graphic feature right here. That's cool. Kelp is the biggest plant in the ocean. It can grow fast. So if anyone ever asks you, what's the biggest plant in the ocean? You can remember and say, kelp. Kelp can grow 2 feet a day. Sea otters can get lots of food here. Okay, well, I don't know that they eat lots of kelp. I do know that they love crabs. And like if they had 10 bowls of food a day, 8 of those bowls would be crabs. Not that they eat their food in bowls, but you know, they can also eat other little things. Like, they can eat little fish if they're slow. What else can they eat? Maybe snails. They're sort of like carnivores. So maybe they can eat, you know, I don't know what else they would eat. Oh, worms. They would eat worms. But like I said, they really, really like crabs. maybe shellfish. Anyway, lots of plants and animals, big and little, live in the ocean. The ocean is their home. Oh my goodness, that is a lot of animals, and that's not all of them. Here we are. It looks like we're in a coral reef again. And all these little fish live there, and they hide in here. When they see a big fish, they go run and hide inside of this coral reef. Oh my goodness. That's like a jellyfish, a man-o-war, I think is what it's called. These tentacles will sting you, and they're super long. And I grew up in South Texas along the coastline, and we would go to the beach, and sometimes you would get stung by these tentacles. Not fun. Okay, let's go ahead and read our questions. It says, describe an animal or plant you learned about. Use details to tell more. So maybe you could say, so plants or animals. You could say, the blue whale is the biggest animal in the ocean. You could say, penguins swim fast and flap their wings. You could say, manatees live where the water is warm and they do not swim fast. But what about kelp? That's a plant. What could you say about kelp? Could you say that it's the biggest plant in the ocean and can grow 2 feet a day? Anyway, we can have lots of examples of plants and animals, and you could help describe them with details. How are all the animals the same? Well, I would say they all live in the ocean. The ocean is their home, so that's what's the same about them. They all live in the same home, just different parts of the ocean. And finally it says, which animal or plant would you like to learn more about? So if I were to read you some books, would you like to learn more about dolphins or sharks or blue whales or sea urchins? Don't step on those. Those are poisonous. Or penguins, manatees, sea turtles, otters, sea anemones, jellyfish, man-o-wars. Just depends on, it's your opinion. And then why? Like, why would you want to learn about the particular animal you chose? Okay, boys and girls, that was fun. We're going to get to read this another couple times, but that's all for now. Toodaloo!